Hey guys, Chris here. Today we're doing the range test in the brand new Mercedes EQE SUV 350 4MATIC. So today we're going to find out just how far this car can go on a full charge of battery. And also how close can it actually get to its WLTP rated range of 549 kilometers. I'm saying 549, but that is this car with smaller wheels. So this car, specifically on the 22-inch AMG wheels, has a WLTP rated range of 491 kilometers. And also, it is on some tires I've never had on any of the test vehicles I've been driving the past 3 years when it comes to electric cars, and those are Cooper Cross Range tires. I've never heard of the Cooper Cross Range tires. I've heard of the Cooper tire brand. I worked with tires and wheels about 10 years ago, and I never sold a set of them, but I think they're most famous for like Jeep tires, off-road tires, but I've never heard of the Cooper Cross Range tires. So I'm kind of surprised to find those tires, a kind of, unknown, not known premium brand of tires on a Mercedes electric vehicle. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you own a Mercedes EQ car, EQE SUV with the Cooper Cross Range tires? Yeah. Never heard of those tires. So at the end of the video, we're going to come back to these chargers. We're also going to connect and see what kind of charging speed we actually get after a few hours on the road with only passive heating of the battery. This car does have active preconditioning. We're not going to test that in this video. We do that on a different test here on the channel. We do that in the long trip test, which will hopefully be the next video. And then at the absolute end of the video, we're going to put this car into chart and see how it actually compares to the competition like the Audi Q8 e-tron, the Neo EL7, and other electric cars you may be looking at. So we're at 85% stated charge now. I think that's enough to do this range test. Let's get on the road and I'll see you guys in a second. As in every of these range tests, we are running in the most efficient mode, and in this car it's actually just called efficiency mode. You can see it down there in the gauge cluster. Down to the right there is a green E. We're running in eco mode. So thus far, been on the road for 14 minutes and average consumption is 29.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That is not very low, but hopefully as we get going, that consumption is going to drop. I think our target should be around 25.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, but we may not have the conditions with us. You can see now it's damp. We've had dry roads, but we've also had showers in these 14 minutes. The past few, like 2-3 days, we've had a storm in Norway called Hans, which has been really severe, and especially north of Oslo is where we're driving now. We're on the E6 motorway, heading about 100 plus kilometers north of Oslo, or north from our starting point actually, so we're about 150, 60 kilometers north of Oslo. So we're going quite a bit north, and is up here where the weather has been the worst. But this storm should have passed now, because looking at the weather now, you can see dry patches and a little bit of sun actually. Or if we're lucky, we're gonna have a little bit of sun. Tomorrow the forecast is like 22 degrees and sunny. Now it's about 15 degrees Celsius outside, so not the warmest. And also according to a wind map, we do have a crosswind from the east, which is to the right, of about 4 meters per second, which shouldn't affect our consumption too much. So this car's closest competitor is the Audi Q8 e-tron and also BMW iX. And compared to those cars, this is a lot more noisy when it comes to tire noise. Is it because this is on 22-inch wheels? Possibly. The e-tron Q8 I've had for the past few days before I tested this car was on 21-inch wheels, though the tires were both the same width as this, 265 millimeters wide. But I've also driven a Q8 e-tron on 22-inch wheels, and that had less road noise than this. So surprisingly, this is the most noisy when it comes to road noise of those three cars. But it's really nice to drive this car. I think I prefer driving this to the Audi Q8 e-tron. So if you want to check this car a little bit more out in detail, I have done a first look and first drive yesterday, so check that video out. Just right after I picked up the car, just a first impressions. And as you guys can see now we have a little bit of showers, and it's probably going to last for a few minutes. So on and off showers, and then dry roads and dry patches. So yeah. But already, guys, 27.5 kilowatt hours, 27.4, 27.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So I think the consumption, if the weather isn't too bad, may just end at around 25.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We've just passed the halfway point. We're moving back towards Oslo now, and for the last half hour, we've had dry weather, dry roads. We have a little bit of drizzle here. We had some dark clouds when we turned around here in Moelv in the roundabout, but hopefully since we're moving back towards Oslo now, we're gonna escape these clouds. So take a look at the consumption, guys. We are now at 25.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and that is not bad, not bad. More like we are talking about. This is more as we wanted. So let's see when we move back towards Oslo now, once we get there, if the consumption will stay this low or rise. I'm guessing if we have dry weather, half an hour into the future now, maybe even all the way back to Oslo, this will be like a 50 to 75% dry test, and we have a real chance of dipping below 25.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. It just started to rain a few minutes ago, so this has actually been a 75% plus, maybe even 80% dry session. So not bad. A little bit of bad luck now coming back to where we're going to stop and charge. And we're going to go to the chargers here on the right side because these are a little bit faster. We have 225 kilowatt chargers, and this car has a peak charging speed of like 170 kilowatts. I'm going to show you guys a really cool thing about this car in the charging screen once we, well, park over here to the chargers. But take a look, 26.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Not bad, but not as good as I was hoping. Not as good as I was hoping. So let's back in here. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I backed up enough. That's fine. We can do that, and we can back in here because the charge port is on the rear right side. Let's go all the way back. Let's go. Okay. And then we can stop. So 26.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, an hour and 52 minutes on the road. So you have a button here, which is called the EQ button, brings you to this screen. And this is really nice. So the car shows you that we're at 23% stated charge, the range, but this is nice. Maximum charging speed at this percentage. This is a really cool feature that I've only seen in Mercedes, and this should be standard in every car. It's only 12.5 degrees to 13 degrees Celsius outside now, so maybe the battery isn't up to peak temperature, because I think if we actually navigate to this charger, the car would preheat, and we probably would have gotten probably closer to that 170 kilowatts of peak charging speed. As I said, the charging port on this EQE SUV is here on the rear right side, and as this car is now initializing with the charger, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, which is Recharge, and they have 4 of these Alpatronics hyperchargers here, which can divide the charge between 2 cars, and then they have 8 Kempower chargers over there. So 8 charging ports or points here and 8 there, 16 in total. And they have charging stations across Norway, Sweden, and Finland. 4,000 charging stations across all of these countries, or charging points, making them the largest charge point operator in the Nordic countries. So if you want to support the channel, go check the link out down below and find out where your closest recharge charger is. So with that out of the way, let's check this out. We are now at 24% stated charge, and we should be getting that 130 kilowatts of peak charging speed the car said we were going to get. And yeah, we're basically peaking at 100. Actually went a little bit higher, and then it dipped down a little bit. That's quite interesting. But okay, 130 kilowatts, that is what the car was telling us, and that's what we are getting. Before we end today's video, let's take a look at the battery pack size, the consumption, calculate theoretical range of this car, and then place it in the chart. So this EQE SUV 350 4MATIC has a usable battery capacity of 89 kilowatt hours. We take that number, divided by the consumption, 26.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and then subtract 3% in heat loss. We get a range today of 327 kilometers, which, to be honest, is not as good as I was hoping or expecting from this car. As I talked about throughout this video, I was hoping we would get down to 25.0 or even lower in the kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So getting 26.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is higher than I thought. And I think there are a few reasons for that. And I don't think this is a foregone conclusion, because if you look at the other cars like the Neo EL7 and also the Audi Q8 e-tron, both the 50 and 55 getting considerably lower consumption than this, conditions were also better. So, you know, we had about 75 to 80% dry conditions, but in the test of those other cars, we had more dry conditions for longer. I think we only had about 10 minutes of rain when I tested the Q850 e-tron. And also, temperature today pretty low, between 13 and 17 degrees Celsius. And for a lot of the time, temperatures were like between 13 and 16 degrees Celsius. Also, this car is on 22-inch wheels, and that's not an excuse, because the Audi Q8 e-tron 55 was also on 22-inch wheels, but the conditions were a lot warmer. And I think, you know, there's a trade-off, because when it's colder, you have to run the heater. When it's warmer, you have to run the AC. But what you don't have to do is you don't have to heat up the battery. And the battery is more efficient at operating temperature, which is between 20 degrees and 30 degrees Celsius. So I think if we ran this car in similar conditions to those cars, we would have gotten closer. Would we have managed the same consumption? Maybe, maybe not. But in tomorrow's video, which is my long range test, where the conditions are going to be dry and we're going to have 20 degrees Celsius plus, I think we're going to get our answer if this car is more efficient, because we've run at least the 55. We haven't run the 50 because of the storm we had. I had that car just a few days ago, but we can compare to the 55, which is a bigger and heavier car. So for now, a little bit disappointed. This car doesn't live up to where it should be, being a brand new car on a new electric platform, especially compared to the Q8 e-tron, which has been criticized for being inefficient, and that is because it's on an internal combustion engine platform converted to electric. But as it looks now, the facelifted version of that e-tron, now called the Q8 e-tron, seems to be not that worse in efficiency than pure platformed electric car. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.